Okay, let's begin the second class. And I'd like to introduce myself again. My name is Lola Ajala, and this is Data Analysis Mastery. Um, this is where you definitely become an expert data analyst in 7 days, even if you're a complete number newbie. Just as I said in the first class, aka you don't like math, you don't like numbers. So today we shall be talking about writing a research plan. So we're going to go beyond looking at PowerPoint presentations like this. You would definitely get into the nitty gritty. We're actually writing a research plan from scratch. So this is a kind of tear down class. So let's get prepared. So before I dive in, I like talking a little bit about um stuff that makes man authority. So because in the first class I refused to show my face. But right now I'm showing it. And like I pointed to you to a caveat that you should ignore that fine face, just ignore it. So for 6 years I've been a data analyst. And one thing I need you all to know is that being a data analyst comes in different names, comes in several names. So it's just as if anything that has analyst in it, or researcher in it, or data in it, not specifically data, but that has researcher in it, that has analyst in it, all stays under being a data analyst. That's basically it. So because in every of the areas that I've worked as a data analyst, not a single one have I been called a data analyst. Funny. So my first job as a data analyst, the role was titled Customer Insight Analyst. So it is under the Insights and Strategy team. So I look deep into what customer wants, and I deal with data because I just don't think of at the top of my head and guess. In research, as a data analyst, you don't guess. You actually say things with authority. So just as see if you're writing a report. In your report, there are some places where you have to input a human voice. A human voice that I mean is your respondent's voice. That this is exactly what my respondent says. And in several ways, that will help your organization to understand the language with which they can communicate with their audience. So as a customer insight researcher or as a customer insight analyst, I help organizations and businesses to understand their customers, just as the name implies, customer insights or client insights. So I get insights from these customers, know what they want, know the way they want it, know when they want it, know how they want it, know exactly when and where they want it. So it's just like knowing everything about how the customer wants that product so that we can actually package it in such a way that they would appreciate it and buy or key into it at any time that is being brought forth to them. So what I basically do is I gather data about customers and potential customers from several locations. So just as I said in the first class, I have been to close to 200 locations in Lagos, and more than 55 of those locations where we actually have outlets in more than 55 of those locations. Am I counting it right? Yeah. So okay, let's say more than 50 of those locations we actually have outlets in them, serving several forms of customers. And this is as a result of the data compiled or collected from each of these locations. So aside that customer insight, there's some other little research that we also do in these communities that gives informed decisions to of course the decision makers. So, and I break, okay, just as I'm saying the other time, that I gather data about customers and potential customers, and I break them down in meaningful ways, in ways that my managers can actually understand them, because it is of no use for you to kind of, as a data analyst, do a research and slap a, a 55 pages report to your manager's face. How do you expect that poor person to make a decision with 55 pages report? No, the reason you've been hired is for you to understand this thing basically, and as much as you can, hit the nail on the head, summarize these things so that this person can actually make decisions fast. So for 3 years, I worked as a customer insight researcher, and also for another approximately 3 years, I also work as an operations researcher, and this involves investigating complex issues involving operational processes. So, how do I give an example of that? Take for instance, you want to um you want to transport some supplies from Lagos down to Maiduguri. So it is a process. It is one process in an entire process of the way your business or the organization runs its stuff. So you can actually study that, no matter how big or how small it seems, you can actually study that little process and look at the process flow, spot out the bottlenecks, spot out where delays are, and how you can actually make things work better or work faster. So as part of the outlets, part of the locations that I work with, at times we might need to get a kind of deliveries in each of these outlets. So we have just one location or a spot where these items are being stored, and this place is not a central location. So transporting items to each of the approximately 55 locations happens to be a problem. So when the research has been done, we actually found out that it will make sense if we have a warehouse in a central location, like a centralized location, so that it's going to be very easy to deport. So when stuff comes in from abroad, it will be very easy for the items, or for the driver, moving the items, to actually link the location, the warehouse where the items are being stored, so there won't be lots delay or bottlenecks in that area, and also from that area to several other locations will be very easy. So these operational flow, bottlenecks and everything, is exactly what we do in operations. So, and it involves a lot of complex thinking, a lot of complex investigations. That you need to break the all of these parts into smaller, tiny, chewable, parts for you as a data analyst, so you can isolate, you can actually tell. So this thing is so complex to the extent that you talk about the human working behind it. So this person takes from this place to this place. How many minutes does it take this person to walk to this place and all of that? So it's so easy. So it's kind of complex. Don't mind me, but it's still easy. So because once you do that, you know that very well. Okay, the meaty part now. Research plan. Today's discussion. So when writing a research plan, I want you to keep these three key things at the back of your mind. The first is be specific. Don't dabble around. Don't write long form words. Be specific. Be specific. hit the nail on the head, say whatever you want to say, and get out of that place. That's just it. It's just as easy as that. Be specific. What do I need to talk about? I want to write a research plan about our audience music listening habits. So, how do people listen to our music? Do they stream it online? Do they download it? Do they get it from a friend? Blah blah. All of that. So I want to actually know. So be specific. Say whatever you want to say, pam. Then move on. Keep it short and focus on the major themes. So as much as you can, try not to deviate from your major themes. So focus on your major themes. Okay, so at times some projects, some reports, some projects, some research might actually lead to another project. So take for instance in the just concluded project that I just did, as part of the solutions designed. So there's this big problem. We did a research on it, dig deeper, to fathom the solutions. So by the time we got the solution, we tested the solution, and another report came out as a result of that solutions tested, because we have to know the impact of that solution. So if it actually works or not. So if it's from a bigger one, so several other research might also come to play. And before I forget, I have to tell you this. As a data analyst, your job continues every day. I remember when I just started being a data analyst, someone told me that, guy, this your job, it will get to a point, or it will get to a period where you won't be needed any longer. So once your organization gets to the peak of its development, when it gets to its peak of doing things, they might actually not need you again. And deep within me, I was scared. I thought, wow. So when this happens, my organization will actually tell me, Mr. Man, go back home. There is nothing we can do. So so I was kind of scared. But when I grew deeper into it, I kind of know that the ocean is large. So because by the time you do this research, another comes up, you do this, another comes up, you do this, another comes up, several other ones keep coming and keep coming. And as I must open up to you, as I'm talking to you now, the projects that I need to research, if I span it across a year, I don't think that year will cover it. So this is 2018. The projects that I still have might take even up to 2020. So it's that deep, it's that complex. So you need not be scared as data analyst that yes, someday I'm going to run out of business. No, you won't. You won't run out of business. So you continuously work. So it's a very good place to start a career, for me to say. And the third one, have a solid, well considered, realistic plan. Yes, because plans are like spectrums. So it has to be solid. Because if it isn't, you might get stuck in between your research process. So at some point you might not know what to do. So it is always very okay for you to list out whatsoever you will be needing in the process of your research. And that's the reason it's always very good to be specific and to keep it as short as you can, and also for you to focus on a major thing. So have something realistic. Don't say I would conduct a phone interview for 10,000 people. How do you want to go about it? So how do you want to go about it? How many people do you want to have called? How many people will make the call? What's your capacity? What's the human capacity you have to make those calls? And how many months would that take? Won't there be survey fatigue and all of that? So there are several things that you should consider before actually starting up with your research. So it's always very good to have a solid, well considered, realistic plan. Point to note, there are 5 sampling processes. Oh, so what are the 5 sampling processes? The first is define your sample. What that means is know your target audience. Who do I need to talk to? Who are my target audience? You understand? Who are my target audience? Who are those that I need to talk to? Okay, I need to talk to millennials, and their ages should be between 18 and 20. Ultra specific. Or I need to talk to millennials that that dress this way. I need to talk to millennials that are Scorpio. Yeah. I need to talk to millennials that are born in the month of August only. So as much as you can, try and define your sample. So your sample might be something very big. And the other is determine your sample frame. So know the range of your of your sample. So just as I gave an example of age. So you can actually say yes, though they fall into the categories of millennials, but those that I actually want to talk to should be between the age of this and this, or should be married, or should have kids, or should be single. Just have a frame for that your sample, that and it shouldn't go out of that frame. So it depends on your research, depends on what you're looking for, depends on what you want to understand, which part of the life that you need to understand. So these are the things that would definitely help you um, create your sample frame. And the third is calculate your sample size. So how do you calculate your sample size? Just type into Google sample size calculator, or just put, you might actually put survey monkey at the back of it, and it's going to bring you a calculator. And when it does brings that calculator, mind you, the standard with which we do this is you have an error, you have a sample error of 5%. Then your actual figure should be 90%. So you can have an error of 5%, then your actual figure is 95%. Then after you've done that, after you've made your sample calculation, after you've calculated your sample size using the sample size calculator, then you determine methods with which you want to pull your survey. What I mean by the method with which you want to pull your survey is how do you want to get your responses from your sample. And at the end, you do a sample check. You do a sample quality check assessment. So after you've thought about these people, you've calculated the sample size, and you've determined a method for you to collect this data. You should also do a kind of sample check to know that, okay, so those that I've chosen to talk to, how do I check if they are the actual people that I need to talk to? So you need to do a kind of checkmate. You need to check for the quality of these people. So you might actually from the top of your head, or from the available data that you have, you might pick or know those that you want to talk to, but without actually speaking to them to confirm your hypothesis, your assumptions, you might actually be talking to the wrong set of people. So it's always very okay to do a sample check assessment. Excuse me. It's very okay for you to do a sample quality check assessment, for you to know that you're actually talking to the right set of people. So right now, let's write a research plan. Let's write a research plan. So I actually have been working on one. So I'll just open this. So we'll check this out together. So this is how to this is how to write a research plan. So easy. So this is the topic at the top. My research plan is all about testing a service. It's a service testing survey. I made that up anyway, but it still speaks what I needed to speak. So take for instance, the organization sells a service, and what the service is, I can actually imagine one service at the top of my head now. So the sales service, and you want to know how the customer feels about your service. You want to test the strength of your service. So you put the topic at the top. You can actually have it colored this way so that it looks kind of nice. And you have the date of the date you're actually writing this. So I put February 14, 2020. So you have an overview and goal of your research plan. So I said this survey is one of the service check package. So what this means is that the service testing survey has about 4 or 5 other little surveys under it. And that's the reason I say it is one of the service check package, which is conducted every quarter. So we conduct this every three months to understand and gain new insights to client perception regarding the latest innovative tweaks that we regularly add to our service. So maybe every three months you add some little things to your services. So take for instance it's a podcast service, and at the end of every month you add some tiny bits, like maybe change the jingle, maybe you add another little episode that takes about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe you say something. So those little tricks that you had, so you want to actually know, if you want to actually know the perception of your clients or your listeners towards that. So since millennial requires flexible and constant changes to suit their lifestyle, so it's basically one of the cool things about being a millennial, that flexibility is what they want, and they don't mind changing constantly, because yes, definitely everyone knows change is dynamic. So they don't mind change to actually make everything suit their flexibility package. So since millennials require flexible and constant changes to suit their lifestyle and taste, updating our systems makes or will make an in, will make increase our product relevance. Will increase the relevance of our product in today's fast-paced ecosystem. So that's basically it. Be short, be precise. So whatever you want to say in 3-4 lines, bam, you're done. The questions in the survey are designed to, what are the goals? What do you want to achieve? So in 4 lines, I've told you the overview. My manager can actually go through this in 2-3 seconds and know, okay, this is what this person wants to work on. So the questions in the survey are designed to, 1, verify our changing customer persona. Bam. That's the first goal. Second goal, understand the reasons that our target clients didn't download our product, our estimated peak periods. So maybe we are the kind of estimate of peak periods that, okay, at this time our customers will be able to so at this point in time our customers should download these numbers, but unfortunately it's not happening. So we're trying to know, so why is this still not happening at the peak period? So that's the second goal. The third goal, identify the customer perceived quality of our service. So okay, so since we've changed this thing, what do our customers think about the quality? Are we, do we have a kind of quality rise or a downfall of it? That's the third goal. The fourth one, identify what our customers still, identify whether our customers still reach out for help on how to use the ecosystem. So does our customers call the customer service to actually know more about what we do? So that's another one. And the last one is for us to ascertain whether our customers feel they're getting value for their money. Are you getting it? Okay, I know you can't respond, but at least you respond to your mind. So those are the goals. Those are what we intend, achieving. So I have to put that because I can actually type eyes as I talk. So the second thing is, what's the time frame for administering this survey. So most time, so this survey should be administered approximately 2 weeks after the launch of the update of an existing service. So what we actually do is that we wait 2 weeks for our clients. So wait 2 weeks for our clients to make use of the new update. While okay, each time we prompt them to update the existing service. So we give them approximately 2 weeks to work on it, to use it. Then after which we contact them to know what they feel about it. So you should know your time frame because that helps you do several things. Okay, if it's not working at this time, it's definitely working at this time. And the third is, what are your sampling criteria? What are the things you're considering? So am I talking to just people in this specified category, like age, like location, what are their occupations, etc. So you should, have a criteria for getting your samples. Okay, that I think I don't need to talk to those downloading our materials or downloading our product from this location. I think I should check out another location. So depending on whatever you want to work on. But what's very important is be specific, be focused, know what you want to do. So sample size. What are our sample size? The targeted sample size will be selected across the northern part of our 6 regions, you understand? And the minimum of 50 millennials in each region. So with this, you're creating a plan, or this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. You understand? And also, which research tool do you want to use? How do you want to collect this data? How do you need to collect this data? I might have to excuse myself for 1 minute. So, excuse me. Let me get something. Let me just drink water. Yeah, I'm back. Thanks. So, it's always very important. So, which research tool do you want to use? How do you want to collect this data for this kind of for this research plan? Because I need to reach out to millennials, and I know that I can't, go into individual houses one after the other, and it might be difficult for me to put the whole of these people to get the whole of these people together at one spot. So the best that I can do is conduct a phone survey for them. So I can actually call them over the phone, then talk to them, ask them what I need to ask them. So it's just very easy. And there are several of these research tools. So you can use surveys. So that's about using questionnaires. So under these surveys is exactly what the phone survey falls into. So I might have a specified questions. So I just put a call through across to these people. Then I ask them the few questions. I can actually do a phone face-to-face survey, but for the numbers that I have, it might be very difficult. So 50 millennials in each region. So if I have 6 regions, that's about 300 millennials. So within how many weeks or within how many months do I want to talk to 300 people? So I'm feeling kind of easy. So I'd like you to excuse me for like 1 minute so that I can actually. Sorry for the breaking transmission. I'm back better. Back and better. Okay, so I was talking about the research tools that you want to use. So there are several things that you consider before actually picking each of these research tools. And what's very important is how to actually get across to your audience to collect the data. So it's very important. It's very important. And these each of these research tools have ways with which we use them. So take for instance, you need an overview about a specific concept. You need an overview about a specific concept, or you want to know the quantity of something, or you want to check the comparison of something. Yes, surveys are the best tools for you to know. Focus groups are best if you need to know people's opinions, or you want to test a product and all of that. So I've conducted several focus groups, and each of these research tool has their ways, has their formula. So take for instance, for focus groups, you shouldn't have more than 12 people in a focus group. So it is always between 8 to 12, and the smaller the better. So if you're on the extreme end of 8, I think 8 is a lot better. So 12 is like the maximum. So you should try as much as you can not to have 12. That's too much, because everyone is talking, and you need to be able to manage these people talking. You need to get those that are not talking to talk. So it's a kind of um research tool that requires some specific skills of human management, how to communicate and all of that. So take for instance, you're doing a kind of opinions, or you want to test a product. Focus groups are best. Interviews. So interviews are also kind of related to surveys, but they are kind of like a step further. So while conducting an interview, so most times interviews are kind of face to face. So with that, you can actually study the person's gesture, study the person's behavior and all of that. So we also have usability testing. So usability testing is basically make that person use that product in your presence. So with that, you can actually tell the way this person is using it. So there was a research that I did recently about an app. So we had to visit some specific people and have them use that app. So we actually studied the way they made use of that app. So it was a behavioral um economics kind of thing. So it's related to finance in some ways. You can also do usability testing. And most of all, yeah, I forgot to add that. I forgot to add that too. You can actually do two. Let me add that because I think it's very important. So another tool is ethnography. So it's called an ethnographic research. Sometimes they call it deep dive. Uh, Sometimes it's called a deep dive. So this involves you going over to your respondent's place and studying them in their context. Because yeah, people think they are rational in making decisions, but unfortunately, people aren't rational in making their decisions. So from as an ethnographic researcher, I've come to realize that. So people think they're actually making um choices based on their rational thought, but it isn't. There are several biases. There are several things that anchors them to do what they do. So if you check out the phone you're making use of right now, I bet you must have seen somebody making use of it. So there's a bias. Someone is actually making use of it before you actually bought that phone. So that is just that. So your number, so your fourth section, so after the sampling criteria section is your questionnaire section. So this is where you put the whole of your questions, all of the questions you shall be asking. This is where you put them. So this is like a guide for you. So for surveys and for interviews, surveys specifically, you might want to have a questionnaire. But for focus group, you can't actually have a direct questionnaire for for focus group, you can, but it's always best for you to have a guide. So when doing a focus group or an ethnographic research or a usability testing, it's always very good for you to have a guide. So you know the questions you want to ask and you know the way you want to ask it. So but for questionnaires, you ask that question the way you have written it. And just take a look at this. So for my question, I have my first section, which is the introduction. So I have two spaces for it. I have the information that I want to ask, like the questions I want to ask, and the kind of response. So the first thing you do is, you confirm if the person is your target audience. So you can say, yeah, hello, my name is Lola Ajala and I'm conducting a survey to determine the perception of people using XYZ mobile services in the joint Sudbury area. So you've introduced yourself. And this information, because you need to give a caveat to your people, to your respondents, so that they feel safe in your hand. So the information from this survey will be used to determine and fine-tune our target market or the way people use our products. I'm just dropping this off of my head. I think I started doing this about 2 hours ago. And any information provided by you on this survey will be kept confidential. So you need to assure the respondent that he or she is safe. So you start asking your question. So because of this kind of survey and from the data I originally have, because this data is basically gotten, so most likely the data I'm going to be using will definitely come in from those that actually downloaded or bought our products. So maybe in the course of buying our products, some of those data that were collected. So I'm quite sure to a particular extent that these people are actually making use of our products. So it's always very good for you to ask, do you use it? So as part of my questions here, I may ask them, when was the last time you used blah 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 products? So because yes, this product is being updated every quarter. So I need to know if this person actually make use of the last update. So it will be very important for me. So my question can go thus that, which age group do you fall to? So this, as opposed to asking the question of how old are you? So knowing how to communicate is also very important. And that was the reason I said the other time in the first video that as a data analyst, you need two core skills: technical skills to actually deal with data, and creative skills, communication skills, and all of that, to actually know how to communicate with these people. So it might be disrespectful, particularly for millennials, as as young as we are. Sometimes we look at it when somebody speaks to our face and say, "How old are you?" Just look at them like, "Man, what's happening?" So you can actually ask that, what age group do they fall into? So you should also, it's very important, I think I skipped that here, you should ask them, when was the last time they made use of your product? So that will help you gauge if they actually made use of your last update of that service or not. So you should actually know their location. So this is also confirming their location. So from the data, they might actually fall into a location, but by asking that question helps you know where they actually fall into. Then you can start asking your question that, what's your first reaction to this service? The first time you downloaded the service, how did you feel? So did you feel very positive about it? And very positive can also, be relative. So you might want to do a follow-up on this. So what is your first reaction of this survey? So when you ask the question, from the response that person gives you, you can actually dig deeper to know if that person feels positive about it. From the enthusiasm in answering that question, you can actually know. Then you can, so you can actually put that person up. So okay, what is your first reaction to the service? Yes, I feel good. Okay, feel good. Yeah, that's nice. So I would like to understand you better. What do you mean by feeling good? So that person can actually, streamline. So by probing further, it helps you get excuse me, by probing further, it helps you get a deeper understanding of what that person is saying. So how would you rate the quality of the service? So from that, so basically, instead of using very high quality, neutral, low quality, or very low quality, I could actually use like a number line here, and I say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate the quality of the service? So the person can say 0, sorry, 1, which is like the lowest, and the person can say 9. So for this question number 2, I think I would rather use a number. So give me a number. So from there I can actually place it into where I want to place it. So how innovative is the service? Is it extremely innovative? Is it very innovative? Is it somewhat innovative? Is it not so innovative, or not innovative at all? So I can place this. Then I can also ask another question. When you think about this service, do you think of it as something you need or you don't need? You understand? So your questions, depending on what you need to search for, you can actually fix your questions around that and bring them up. So how would you rate the value for money of the service? So are you getting value for what you're paying for? Do you think you can get more? Do you think so? It's just a comparison thing. So what's basically important is how you place your questions and how they are being asked. So there are several things that you can do when you ask this question. I also have another question about music listening. So basically, the way I think about my question whenever I want to start a research is that, so whenever I need to do a project, so I always do a kind of how do I call it? So I always do a kind of desk research. It's very important to do desk research. So a desk research gives you an overview, a broader thought about what you wanted to work on. Then you can actually fine tune that to suit you. So most times I go to the questionnaire template from SurveyMonkey. I love SurveyMonkey a lot. So like this question now is about music listening questionnaire. So how do you purchase music in digital format? Is it extremely helpful? Is it so all of these things? So I have them to actually give me a direction. So I can actually from this area fine tune my questions to my audience and all of that. So it's always very good to do a desk research. You do a desk research, it gives you a direction. Then from there, you can actually fine tune it to suit your research audience. So after this, after your questions, so most times you put your question and you put the answer type into it. So your question might be as long as 20 questions. So for most of my research plan, this is most times the longest section. My questionnaire, my survey questionnaire is always the longest section. The rest are just short, precise. But for the questions I need to ask, for the questions I want to ask, I need to highlight the all of them. So this is exactly where most of my questions lies. So this is exactly where I get the long form part of my stuff. So after this, you can have a budget. So because that's where I do my thing. So I budget the stuff I will be needing for me to actually actualize this. So you might want to add more too, like miscellaneous, blah blah blah. But it's always very important for you to have that 4 main themes: your overview and the goal, the time frame for administering your survey, the sample criteria, your questionnaire, and any other thing that you shall be needing. So in the next class, I'll put you through how to design a survey. So after we've gotten our research plan, we can actually move forward to actually design our surveys. So this is where we think about the tools with which we use to collect the data. So while talking to your respondent and asking them these questions, how do you record that data? So for focus groups, you might actually want to do a voice recording, or maybe a video coverage of the whole thing. And it's always very important: should you hide the camera, should you bring the camera, should you surface the camera, all of that. Those are the things that you would consider. So for most of the surveys I've done, I've used several apps. I've used Survey to Go to actually collect my data. I've used Survey Monkey app to collect my data. I've used ODK Collect to collect my data. There are several ways, and I've also made use of Google Forms. So for the ones that I mentioned earlier, like the STG, so for you to design the question at the back end, for you to do your questionnaire survey at the back end, I think it's a premium way. But for this course, I'll put us through an efficient, you know, easy way to design your questionnaire without having any problem. So until then, I'll see you, and I hope you enjoy this class. So to we shall continue with the rest of it. And before then, thank you very much. Stay safe and enjoy yourself. Oh wow, spent for 6 minutes. Never knew. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.